So the year is 2026, and a lot of people are thinking about whether they need to implement an agent within their companies or not. And I'm here to tell you that your company might not need an agent yet. And I also want you to know that even if your company doesn't need an agent right away, you still need to learn about them. So the goal for today's video is to show you what are the options that your company has between AI-based automations, AI tools, and full-on agents, what they are, what are the differences between the three, when to use them, and what are their limitations. And let's start with automations. So automations are predefined workflows. Think of them as your Zapier workflows. You have rules and triggers, so the system knows what are the steps to take, when to take these steps, and what rules to follow. A perfect example of this is, a Zapier automation that triggers whenever you receive a new email. You take that email, send it to OpenAI, it extracts any relevant information, could be related to an upcoming meeting, anything, and then it goes and sends it to you on WhatsApp. It is a workflow, it knows when to do it, it knows how to do it, and it is repeatable, simple, doesn't require a lot of thinking. And these AI workflows can include AI steps. A lot of companies have been doing a lot of RPA, computer vision based workflows. So you take a file, you run it through an OCR, extract relevant data either through LLM or through actual templates that we used to do for specific shapes of documents. These automations in 2026 have become a lot more powerful. They are a very, very good step into transforming a company that doesn't really have a lot of familiarity with AI and bringing it into the AI world. And that is what automations are perfect for. They are perfect for taking repeatable workflows that are super simple, that trigger based on predetermined triggers that run a specific workflow and have very specific rules, and that are repeatable. Now, when to pick the automations, I think I've answered some of these ahead, but automations are perfect for repeatable tasks, right? Instead of having someone go into, Google Maps, open up a certain link, read the business's data, and then take it and input it into an Excel sheet. You can definitely do that through automation. Same goes with, reading millions and millions and millions of PDFs, extracting their data, reading through them, taking the relevant information and adding them into Excel or sending them through an email. So automations are perfect for repeatable tasks. They need to have predictable paths. So you need to know that moving from step 1 to step 2, you need to know what moves the system from step 1 to step 2, and when does the system stop, and when does the system trigger. So predictability is a big, big part of building automations, and they are perfect for low complexity work. Meaning if you can't really easily draft it into a couple of steps, then it should not be an automation. So if you're using Zapier and your Zapier automations are 100 nodes long, automations might not be the best thing to be implementing in your company. Now let's move to automations limitations. They do follow super rigid logic, and that rigid logic is good because it also gives us predictability into the system. Everybody can know clearly based on an output what the input was. It gives us predictable paths, and that's perfect for companies that need to keep a lot of control about how things are processed internally, but they're limited to low complexity work. And that rigid logic also breaks when you get an edge case. So they're simple to implement, they don't cost much, especially in 2026. They are a very, very good way to start working on moving your company towards an AI future, but they're not perfect for every other use case. The next step of automation, or the higher level of automation, is implementing AI tooling in your company, right? And AI tooling is perfect when you need human in the loop, meaning the AI does some work, but the human validates / makes all of the decisions. When you need the AI to only assist and not act, And also, and these are where, and they're perfect when the workflows require the AI to either generate something and then the human intervenes, or analyze something and then the human intervenes, or summarize something for the humans, right? And I'll give you two examples. One of the biggest AI tools I think that every single company today is using is ChatGPT. So if you want to think about AI tooling, think about ChatGPT for X, right? One tool that we built in the insurance space, in the health insurance space, called Hulk. It's a tool that we deployed for health insurances so that the reimbursement claims are automatically analyzed by Hulk, our own AI tool, for their medical necessity. That way, the person deciding whether this should be reimbursed, not reimbursed, or whether it should go to the medical committee does not have to read through the entire file, go back in history, check whether there is potential fraud, do the manual checks for medical necessity, knowing that most of these people are not even doctors. So the AI is there for them to give them a clear outline of the reimbursement claim, of the patient profile, whether this reimbursement claim actually has medical necessity or not, and it assists them in the decision, but the decision is still made by a human. It's not like an agent that's doing the work automatically and humans verifying it afterwards. It is perfect in high stakes jobs where we still need the human to take accountability of the results, have absolute control over what's being done, right? So when to pick AI tools, when should you go and build the ChatGPT for your own company? It's when the work is good, you just need it to be done faster, and AI tooling is perfect at that. When judgment still matters, meaning I need to automate, but I cannot take the risk of letting AI loose and letting AI take decisions on behalf of actual humans, and especially in sectors where human review and accountability is required. It's not just a decision, sometimes it is an actual legal requirement. And for these type of companies, AI tooling might be the best thing that you should be implementing instead of a full-on autonomous agent. Now let's move to the limitations of AI tools. Obviously, they need some form of prompting. It could be automated. So for the scenario of Hulk that we built, the prompt is realistically just the reimbursement claim that comes in. But even that shows that there's a clear limitation on how AI tools function. They're not fully autonomous. They still need an input for them to generate an output. They do require a lot of validation. Think of it as you asking ChatGPT to generate a file. It will generate the file for you. You still need to read it before sending it. And the AI tools do not necessarily own the tasks. And before I move to autonomous agents, we need to think of AI toolings and automations not as alternatives to each other, but sometimes as complementary things that you need to have in your company, where the AI tooling is there to accelerate the work, it is there to assist the human, and then the human operates as the validator of that feedback that either gets sent to an automation and that feedback becomes the input for an automation, or the other way around, where the automation generates the prompt, generates the seed data for the AI tooling. The AI tooling does its work, and then the human is the last reviewer before taking action. And now onto the thing that people talk about, constantly recently, what are agents? So agents compared to automations and AI toolings are goal-driven, meaning whenever I'm talking to an agent, usually what I need it to do is described as a goal. So, some people have taken this to the extreme where they go to their OpenClaw and just ask them to generate $1 million. And it could be as simple as, please OpenClaw, I need you to generate this website for me, and this is what the website looks like, right? And then usually what these agents do is they take that goal, break it down into a plan, tasks, and then they have tools. And that's the biggest difference between all of these three, is that the agent lives on a machine, meaning the agent can technically replace every single task that a human can do on a machine, and then control the machine to achieve that goal. And it acts with autonomy. An agent does not need you to keep on prompting it. It might ask for your feedback. How much feedback or how little feedback you want to give your agent is usually a matter of configuration, but technically speaking, you can have agents that live on machines and then execute whatever they feel like they need to execute constantly without any human intervention. And I think that's what agents and the agentic power is. So when do you really need to pick agents? I think agents are perfect at very, very complex tasks, right? I think the main industry that was eaten by by agents and the agentic developments of the last couple of months is coding. Obviously, it is a super complex task. It goes from, taking a goal, breaking it down to actual specifications, evaluating technical choices, thinking about how every single piece of the code relates to each other, actually writing the code, testing the code, all the way to deployment, iteration, improvements, etc. Coding is super complex, and that is one of the first industries that was eaten up by agents. We've seen Anthropic release a lot of agents that are more for law or finance. So the super complex tasks that cannot be broken down into simple automations, and also the tasks that take a bit too long to just have the humans do the constant validation, although they should, have been completely taken up by agents. So if within your company you have a task that is complex in its nature, that you don't really mind an agent doing 100%, that does really require solid and rigid human intervention, that task is perfect for your agent, and that varies from code all the way to customer support sometimes. It is perfect for high value outcomes. I put that here because people need to keep in mind that letting agents run loose comes at a cost. Tokens are super expensive. So if the expected ROI of whatever the agent is doing is not high enough, then building a full agent for it might not be the best choice. And agents should be able to do end-to-end doable flows. This basically translates to, if this task communicated the way it was communicated to your agent cannot be done by a human, then most likely than not, your agent is not going to be able to do it. So whenever you're talking to an agent, put yourself in the place of that agent and then see realistically, given that input that you gave the agent, whether you can go from A to Z and deliver and achieve the goal, deliver the full scope of the project without any extra interventions. So if those flows exist within your company, if they are high value, if they have high value enough to justify the investment in tokens, and if they are complex enough to require something beyond simple tooling or an automation, then I think an agent is perfect for you. Now, just to close this video quickly, let's talk about the limitations of agents, right? Agents are fully autonomous. They're extremely hard to control. Sometimes, after running for 6, 7, 8 hours, it becomes extremely hard to know how the agent came to an output. It is extremely difficult to audit every single step that the agent undertook. And that causes, auditability risks. They become very hard to audit, but they also become prone to errors, right? They can do so many things, and those so many things usually clog their context. They might lose track of their initial goals. And because there are so many things that they can do, there are so many ways they can fail at achieving whatever task you've given them, right? Last thing is that these agents need guardrails. And I think this is the hardest thing that anyone building an agent is facing, especially in high stakes environments. If you're working, with the government, you're working with large corporations, these guardrails become the hardest thing to do in agentic development. I think the guardrails are not just security related, they're also there to make sure that the agent is only working on the things that you want it to work on. Perfect example, a couple of months ago, I think somebody, was talking to a customer support agent and got them to offer them a discount, which was legally binding. So making sure that the agent does not go beyond scope is a bit hard. And also keep in mind that these agents are, next token prediction machines. They're perfect at predicting what they need to do next, or at least generating the text for it. They don't really have, proper reasoning in a human sense. They don't have good sense. So if something is not within the guardrails, either the programmatic guardrails or at least the prompting guardrails, then agents might cause more problems than they actually solve. That's it. Super quick video. Hope it wasn't super long. If you want to know something specific about how agents function in the future, please let me know down in the comments. I'll try to be posting more and more about the developments in the AI world. And I'll see you soon in the next video.